What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Zach. Listen to me, and listen to me really good, because I know a lot need to hear this. I've saw so many people just recently and different times saying with their statuses on different social media that I have that they say, I feel defeated. This defeats me. I feel defeated because of this, or defeated because of that. And you know what? I 100%, 1000% know that feeling. Because let me tell you something. Defeat, having that feeling of defeat sucks. Big time. And it's one of those feelings that's hard to, explain. But, you know what? I've been there before myself. As someone, like I said, that's sitting, that has a wheelchair, I'll put it that way. There's things I've myself, I felt defeated. As far as being able to, walk and run on my own, get up out of the chair and just start running on my own, walk on my own, Yeah, there was some defeat there, or the feeling of defeat there. Don't get me wrong. But it's like I said, I'm always sitting down because of my balance. And that's all my level 1 spinal bifida effects. I'm being 36 now, almost 37. And I've still never been on dates or relationships. I've had people, I'll just say it that way. I've had people, mainly females, make me think and feel like that I'm out of that friend zone. And then about maybe 2 or 3 days later, say, you know what? We're just friends. And then you get that friend, you get that friend zone pulled back on you. You think, that's the way this is going to go. Or that's the way that's going to go. And you feel defeated because you think, is this ever going to work for me? Is this ever going to happen? And quite frankly, yes, it gets to that point you think, I don't know if this is going to happen or not. But with that said, think of it this way. Think of those feelings of defeat as setbacks. Just think of those defeats. Every time you feel defeated, think of that as setbacks. Yeah, some of us have, a few setbacks, not very many setbacks. And some people, some of us have years of setbacks. And that's understandable. I've been there before. I've been in that position. Setbacks suck. And, a lot of people might not realize it. But yes, setbacks, they hurt like hell. Like I said, everybody has setbacks. Whether it comes to dating or relationships or whatever the case may be, some people might have maybe 2 or 3 years of setbacks, for example, of, with relationships. And then, boom, they finally find that right one, you know. And then things are good from then, from then on. But what I'm saying to you is this: setback after setback after setback. It happens. It sucks, but it happens. For me, it's been 36 years of setbacks as far as that dating a relationship. I dealt with the bullies. I've dealt with, the judgmental females. And again, no, I'm not calling nobody out because I'm not like that. That's not how I was raised. That's not how I was born and raised. I was born and raised to show love, respect, honesty, trust, loyal, and faithful, to that one person. Or that one female, excuse me. But even though I've had those setbacks, there's still going to be that comeback. When? There again, that's one thing I still can't. I still don't know the answer to. We'll say can't because there's no such thing as can't. But that's one thing I don't know the answer to, is when that comeback's going to happen. I mean, here it is, 37, almost 36, almost 37 years, and I've still never dated, still never, been through a relationship. And, at this point, I feel like, that everybody, is past that dating a relationship. Everybody wants to get married. And you know what? So do I. I would love to, get married and have kids of my own. And that's something that I can still do. That's something that I can do. Even though I'm sitting down. It's just because of my balance. That's it. Now, with that said, do I accept somebody that's already got kids? At this late in the game, yeah, I do. I do accept that. But at the same time, I know every setback leads to a greater comeback. And like I said, some of us have a lot more setbacks than others. And again, that's more than okay. Setbacks are more than okay. They don't have, no. Setbacks aren't the greatest things. Yeah, setbacks suck. And in some cases, they hurt like hell. The setbacks are like hell. But don't think of those setbacks as, this ain't gonna happen, that ain't gonna happen. Think of those setbacks as, okay, this happened, or that happened, or whatever the case may be, that caused those setbacks. And think to yourself, okay, those setbacks happened, but now that those setbacks happened, it's time to get that comeback. And that comeback will happen sooner or later. And sometimes a lot sooner than what you may realize. Again, those setbacks, every setback sucks. Don't get me wrong. And it's just like I told you, a while back, when I lost all my strength, from when I had pneumonia. You know, I still have had trouble getting them, being able to get up in my truck. Because I use my upper body to lift myself up in the truck. I'm not, like most people, getting in a truck or any kind of vehicle, you use you can use your feet, because most people, or a lot of people, I should say, are walking. So it sucks. And, when I do get up in and out of my truck, it does take longer than what it does, for just a person that walks on their own. And again, I'm not trying to make excuses here. I'm just telling you 100% facts. 100% true facts. Does it suck? More than what some people might realize. And the fact that, like I said, being almost 37 years old and still never been on first date or relationship, it sucks big time. Yeah, it definitely hurts. Because a lot of people, let's say females, I don't want to call anybody out, but, a lot of females, they see that I have a wheelchair and they think, nah, oh, well, we can say this and say that. He'll just go with it. No, I promise you this. Every setback that I've had, even the times that I've gotten called fake, which happened to me about 6 years ago. And, the person, I heard them, I called them out on it. And in my face, they lied about it. Or tried to, and then finally, admitted. And that was after they turned me down, told me they was taking a break. But that hurt. Don't get me wrong, that hurt. But again, that also comes from things that I've always been through as well. There's always a lot of built up hurt, or stress. But I look at it as every setback leads to a greater comeback. And I'm hoping that comeback is soon. I'm hoping that comeback, to be honest with you, I'm hoping that comeback happens for me this summer. I would love to see it happen this summer. I would love to see it happen. Shoot, I'd love to see it happen today, to tell you the truth. But with every setback, leads to a greater comeback. So whenever you feel defeated, don't think of that defeat as defeat. Think of those defeats as setbacks. Because those are, when you hear somebody say, oh, I'm defeated, that's, they're defeated. No, they're not defeated. Those defeats that you have are just setbacks. Every setback makes for an even greater comeback. And yes, those setbacks can and do hurt a lot. Depending on, like I say, what the situation is. Because, again, we only know someone's name, not their story. And we all have a 100% different but 100% true story about us. You know, and it's just like I told you, the hell that I've been through. You know, being 37, still never been in a dates relationship. Actually kissed my girl once and making me think that I was out of that friend zone just to, for a day later to say, we're just friends. You know, those times hurt. Don't get me wrong. You know, to get laughed at, be called, you know, and get laughed at and made fun of, you know, for still being 100% virgin. Unlike most people. Y'all, you know, there's a lot of you out there that have kids already and married, or have that special someone. Again, no offense to nobody, but what I'm saying is, those are all defeats that I feel like I've had. You know, and it sucks. But defeats are just like setbacks. They are setbacks. And every setback can and does make for a greater comeback. And whenever you feel like you got that setback, tell me. That's why, and again, that's why I tell you, anything that you would like to hear, you know, that would help you, or even help somebody that you may know. You know, if you know something that someone needs to hear, tell me. You know, and maybe you're the ones that have the setbacks. Guess what? I'm here to help you make those comebacks happen. So yes, I am making this a working, paying job. Why? Because I love to help people. That's how I was born and raised. Anything that you go through or have been through, I want to know if it's something that's still getting to. I don't care. No matter if it's something in your past that's bothering you. Because, you know, even the past has its way of sneaking up on us and saying, we got this person. You know, got that person, you know. And yeah, when that happens, the past can bring you back down. And it sucks. Because when that sneaks up on you, it sucks. But you know what? You know, they say nobody's better than anyone, which is 100% true. We're no better than anyone else. We are all 100% human, but they're 100% different, but 100% true story about us. And even though even though a lot of us go through different things, that don't make us any different than anyone else. That just means that we all go through something different. And that's okay. But you know what? This is teamwork. And teamwork makes the dream work. And you know, that's why I stay here on YouTube. As again, you know, when I first started versus now, I thought, you know, when you saw some of my workouts, you know, again, I had to change content. But again, that was also 100% understandable. But the more I saw, people, and the more I saw individuals say something, and say that, hey, you're helping me. This is helping me. That's helping me. That's giving me that motivation, that inspiration. It's like I said, some situations I've also been through, and that some situations that you've been through, I've also been through the same thing as you. And there's some, a lot of situations out there that maybe I haven't been through that you've been through. And with that said, even if it's something that I haven't been through, situations that I haven't been through, tell me what that is, and what your situations are. You know, that you're going through. And what I'm saying is, I would put myself in your shoes. In other words, try to see your situation or situations the way you see it. The way you see it. I want to see your situations the way you see your situations, and think, okay, here's how you see your situations. How would I get through those situations? And then be able to give you my advice on how I would get through those situations. Or give you advice to say, well, this is how I would do it. This is how I would get through this or that. Take my advice and do the same things I did and see if that works. Like I say, as of right now, and there's more than I can even speak on. I mean, it's hard more than I can speak on. But, as of right now, there's so many people out there that go through hell. And because of that, they're not here right now. Because of the hell they went through. So many people have passed away, I'll just say it nicely, because of the hell they went through. So many people get picked on, I guess is the best way to say it. So many people get picked on, lied to, lied on, judged, bullied even. And right now, they're not here because of that. It's just like I told you. And for those new listening to this, I've got a friend of mine who calls me his big brother. He was born with cerebral palsy, and he got bullied more times than I can tell you. At least from what he told me. At least from the times that I've heard. I'll put it that way. But this one time, this one exact time, about 10 years ago, he called and told me. It was that night, I think it was. It was that night. Actually, this is a different story. He was, getting judged by women because of his disability, so he never got to, he always got hurt from when it came to dating and relationships. And I stayed up with him till about 3 o'clock in this morning. And at 3 o'clock the next morning, he just said, you know what? I feel better now. I want to try to get some sleep. Okay. And then he said, good night, brother. And I thought, wow, okay. Just let me know when you wake up. Let me know how you feel. And good night, little brother, was my response. And that next morning, about 10 o'clock, I'm going to guess. It's been that long. I'm just going to guess. I'm guessing on times right now. He first texted me and said, hey, are you awake? I text back. I said, yeah. And he called me. He said, I bet you're tired. I said, nah, kind of. He said, well, I just want to say thanks. Thank you for saving my life. Because of you, I made it through. Because of you, I'm still here. And my response was, you know what, little brother? I've been there. I've been down your road. You know, I've been down that exact same path. When it came to, you know, dating and relationships. And it sucks. That feeling sucks. You know, I had that feeling once. In the beginning, you know, dating and relationships, no matter how many times I got turned down, you know, there were times I didn't want to be here. But look at me, I'm still here. I went through a rough patch, and it sucks. But, you know, when I see somebody that's also went through something, you know, the same things that I have, and knowing that I can help that person, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. So whenever you feel like you've been defeated, think again, because when you feel defeated, just think to yourself, I'm not defeated, but this is just a setback. It might be a huge setback, but that feeling of defeat is just a setback. But a setback that makes for a greater comeback. So setbacks are going to happen, but those setbacks are just setting you up for a greater comeback. And that's all it is. Those setbacks are just setting you up for a greater comeback. With that said, again, I love y'all. I can't say thank you enough to each and every one of you for all you've done, all you do. Meaning all the likes, the shares, the comments, all of 858 subscribers. Wow, I'm in shock. Or, excuse me, 650, I said 858. For all 658 subscribers. I love y'all. And again, I can't say thank y'all enough for 658 subscribers. You know, this is one that I want to make a working paying job, because this is what I love doing. I love being able to motivate, inspire, and try to help as many people as I can, in any way that I can. Y'all are amazing. I can't say thank you enough. Again, if and when you comment on any YouTube video that I have up, when I reply to your comment, if I see that you have a YouTube channel and I see that I'm not subscribed, I will subscribe to your YouTube channel. I will subscribe to your YouTube channel. If I'm not already subscribed, I will subscribe. But either way, I will always reply comments. I appreciate y'all. Much love. And again, I cannot say thank you all enough for helping me make this dream happen. Let's keep going. Keep being you. Keep smiling. Whatever you're after, keep going. I'm with you. Let's get it.